Hello and welcome to Pop Screen, the podcast that's not your real dad and you don't have to do what it says. We are that corner of the Geek show that likes to look at the good, the bad and the ridiculous of movies either starring by or about pop stars. Now, the podcast covers a broad range of musical and cinematic genres, from country and western to hip-hop, from documentaries to science fiction. I'm your host, Graham Williamson. I'm a critic, filmmaker and video artist, a regular writer for the Geek show, and I sometimes write for Byline Times as well. And I've been joined this week by...
You've been joined by Mark Cunliffe, who also writes regularly for The Geek Show and for Arrow Film and lots of other places. I never remember them all, but lots of other places. And Alexi Sale... Z Network, yeah. Alexi Sale recently said that I should be writing film reviews for The Guardian. So, I mean...
Yes.
What praise could you ask for more?
We can't disappoint Alexi Sale. That has to happen at some point. Yeah.
And also, this podcast was quoted on his podcast, wasn't it?
This podcast?
This very podcast.
Oh, I haven't heard that one yet.
Yeah. But they're talking about me. I think Talal says, and he appears on the Geek Show's Pop Screen podcast. So,
wow! How did I miss that bit? Because I did hear Talal read out your Saturday night review, but I somehow missed that. Fabulous!
Sure, it's in there. Yeah, I'm sure it's in there. I think it's that episode. I think, but yeah.
Wow! Oh, good stuff. Well, one of the constants of our friendship, I often thought, is that every now and then you will just contact me with a strand of British television plays from the 1970s and 80s that neither I nor anyone else has ever heard of. And this is one of those times, isn't it? What's Premiere?
Premiere was a very interesting. I've got a nice précis of it written down here. It ran for 4 series from 1977 to 1980. It was a BBC Two anthology series that gave directors the opportunity to make their television drama debut. So where Play for Today was very much, I always thought Play for Today was sort of like the emphasis was on the writer, even though there was some very good directors who got tremendous reputation off the back of it. I always felt it was more a writer's piece for Play for Today, whereas Premiere seemed to want to sort of be a little bit more about giving, not just a director's piece, but giving new directors an opportunity on television, which doesn't exist now. It really doesn't. I mean, but it did briefly exist in the late 70s. I mean, nowadays, I think if you're a director getting an opportunity on TV, it's probably an episode of EastEnders.
Yes, it's something where there's a house style, which I always think is one of the great deficiencies of modern television, is that there are good directors working in modern television. There are people who've gone on to make good films, but in order to fit into the current television landscape, unless you're doing something like Black Mirror, where there's a bit more leeway, the first thing you have to do is damp down any sort of individual personality that you might have.
That's it, and it's a real shame because where do you go when you've conformed so much right out the traps? Where do you sort of go from there, really? The great thing about Premiere was that you had really good directors who have still, some of them are still working today, really. But there's just off the top of my head, one example. Well, not off the top of my head. I'm reading it off my phone.
Just off the top of my phone.
Just off the top of my phone. You've got Graham Baker, who ended up doing Alien Nation.
Yeah.
The Omen 3.
Mm.
You've got Malcolm Mowbray, who did A Private Function.
Ooh.
Handmade a little bit later. And one of them that we'll be talking about today is Roger Bamford, who has quite a remarkable career, really. He's still working to this day. Not Roger Bamford, sorry, Colin Buxey. Still working to this day. He's recently done The Offer, the behind the scenes of The Godfather.
Yes.
Some episodes of that. So they really helped set people. I mean, there was also some good cinematographers who got the opportunity as well, like Brian Tufano. He helmed an episode of Premiere as well. But yeah, it seems like a great sort of nursery for talent, and we don't have those now.
Not
I mean,
at all. No.
BBC's even got rid of doctors. Doctors were supposed to be sort of like the step in to the industry for a lot of people, and now that's gone. So
yeah,
very strange.
No, bit of a shut shop now. Although having said that, having sort of eulogised its ability to discover and nurture brand new talents, we should point out that the director of the first film we're talking about is not exactly an unknown.
No, he's an interesting figure, isn't he? Because he's, as you say, he's not exactly an unknown, but he wasn't known for directing at this point.
No.
But he was, of course. That's not Monkee around anymore.
Hey, yes, it's Micky Dolenz, and
Yes.
when I was first sort of suggested this to do on the show by you, I made a very disturbing discovery about myself that I think threatens my whole future as a pop-based podcaster, which is that I can never remember which of the Monkees is which.
No, I can't. There's one with a hat. One with a woolly hat. There's the English one, and then there's Micky Dolenz, and then there's probably some other.
This isn't even the English one, and somehow he's ended up directing something for British television, which is odd.
Yeah, but he had quite an extensive. From this, his stepping stone.
It's going to be like this all the way through, isn't it?
I just need you to put a sound every time I do it. If you can put a sound effect afterwards, that'd be great. Or a little. No, but he did have quite a prolific period, a purple patch in British TV after this, because he ended up directing Metal Mickey, which viewers at a certain age may remember.
No, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, but it was one of that sort of odd post Mork and Mindy wave of sitcoms, wasn't it? Where every tea time sitcom had to be like, there's a family and they've got Cthulhu lodging with them or something.
Yeah, I'd watch that.
Yeah, that'd be good.
That'd be good. But yeah, it goes like Mork and Mindy, Metal Mickey, Alf. Do you remember Alf?
Alf, yeah. Out of this world.
And then you get Short Circuit on the big screen, I suppose, as well. It's
yeah.
Bigfoot and the Hendersons, which was both a film and a TV series, I think. So yeah,
no, it was.
There's a weird time for that in the 80s, wasn't there?
I think that the death blow for it was when Third Rock from the Sun came out and they realised they'd accidentally made one of these shows that was funny and therefore they could stop doing it from now on.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. But yeah, Dolenz did a few. I was just looking him up before. He did a few things over here. He did a series that I think I should remember, or I certainly probably watched as a kid, but I've got no memory of it, which is called No Problem, which is a very rare example of a black-led cast sitcom.
Okay.
Because there's not many of those in the annals of British TV.
Yeah, even now, yeah.
No, even now, that's true. So this comes somewhere between, I think the two giants were the Fosters in the 70s, which gave Lenny Henry a start, and then Desmond's in the late 80s.
Yeah.
This sort of comes in between those. I think it's about 84 to about 86, and Micky Dolenz directed quite a few episodes of that as well. And he also did he did a short called The Box that Terry Jones and Michael
Yes.
Palin wrote. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. I hadn't seen that, but that sounds fascinating. Apparently,
No,
it
I
is
haven't seen that either. Yeah.
basically a shot of a box with overdubbed voices trying to work out how to get out of it, which is like something that Jean-Luc Godard would do in one of his really piss-taking moods. But yeah, Micky Dolenz, Palin, and Jones did it.
Yeah, it's an interesting trio, isn't it?
Mm.
He also did Balam Gateway to the South.
Oh, the Peter Sellers thing.
Well, I think originally it was a Sellers thing, wasn't it? I think, and then they expanded it into a 20-minute travelogue, spoof travelogue in 79 or 80.
Right,
and he's the director of that. And Robbie Coltrane sort of has a lot of he plays a lot of the sort of the characters, the Sellers type characters. He's the the chameleon in that, I believe.
I see. Yeah. Wow, yeah, that set off a memory bomb. That is one of those things where driving through Britain as a fan of British comedy means that there are some places that are just forever spoiled for you. Can't drive through Rutland and take it seriously. Can't drive past Shillbottle and take it seriously. And Balham, gateway to the south, is definitely that's definitely.
I would throw in Neasden as well on that.
Yeah.
Peter Cook's favourite, wasn't it? Neasden.
It was, yeah, big in early Private Eye. Yes. Yeah. But this is not really a comedy, is it? We're making a case for him as a comedy specialist, and I think in a lot of ways he was. But this is something else.
Yeah, this is a very interesting sort of. It's called Story Without Hero. I don't think we said the title, have we?
No, we haven't actually.
We did, wouldn't it? It's called Story Without Hero, and it's quite an interesting. It's almost like a coming of age, rites of passage type film, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, if I read that, I'll read the summary of it. It says, when Hell's Angels hit Muriel's seaside town, she grabs daughter Karen and follows. Years ago, her husband rode away on his bike and left her, but it's always possible that she might find him or someone. As it happens, both mother and daughter have unexpected encounters. Now, I was still thinking about this after watched it. I've seen it a couple of times now. It's written by a woman called Maggie Wadey, who is married to John Castle, the actor John Castle.
Oh, right.
But it's interesting because you think Micky Dolenz is as you said, you don't expect to see Micky Dolenz in British TV anyway, really.
And certainly then you think, not at this point.
No, and then you think, well, what is the thing that attracts Micky Dolenz to this story? And if you just read the précis, the summary of it, it's almost quite American, isn't it?
Yeah, the biker gangs. This
could easily be remade in America, and could have been, if they expanded it for longer than half hour, could have been quite a relatively big sort of mid-80s film where they probably cast Cher as Muriel.
Yes.
And whatever young fashionable Winona Ryder or something as Karen. It's that kind of vibe, isn't it?
It's a very Cher-coded part. It is one of those kind of roles that she would get around the time of Silkwood or Moonstruck, where I suppose it's one of those wonderful examples how star power can make you believe any old shit, because those movies are based on like the precept of Cher is an ordinary working woman, and you think, gotta stop you there. But for some reason, the films still work. They still work.
They do, yeah. She's an interesting example, isn't she, of like a massive pop star who we do have that suspension of credibility that we just accept her as like a housewife in one of these films, whereas you wouldn't do that with Madonna.
No, definitely not.
I mean, Madonna's past that age now that Cher was in the 80s making those type of films, but if Madonna suddenly appeared as like a housewife in a film in like the early noughties, you wouldn't believe it for a second, would you? But we did
Not
of
at
Cher
all.
in the 80s.
Yeah. No, that's very true. Yeah. I was thinking of another, maybe not quite a Cher movie, but a Cher-related a franchise that Cher has appeared in. Because
Well,
my
you know,
plot
Cher and Cher
notes,
alike.
Cher and Cher alike. Yes. I'd make a joke about one of the Monkees providing the drum fill, but as we've ascertained, I don't know which one is
We don't know
which.
who that was. Sorry,
Yeah.
listen. We have done no research about the
No.
Monkees at all in the making of this podcast.
This is
But
particularly
you have previously spoken about the Monkees on this podcast.
I was going to say this is particularly embarrassing for me because I've done a full episode about Head and I still cannot remember the first fucking fact about the Monkees.
So I'm innocent. What we're trying to say here is I'm innocent.
Yeah.
Graham is wholly guilty of being
I was supposed
racist
to be
toward monkeys.
I was supposed to be the designated driver who kept this thing on the road and I've driven it into a ditch.
True.
But yeah, my plot note simply said it's sort of like Mamma Mia would have been if Pierce Brosnan, Stellan Skarsgård, and Colin Firth were a biker gang.
I'd watch it.
Yeah, I think Colin Firth should do that. Colin Firth in particular would be very good as a Hell's Angel, I think.
Yeah, I'd definitely watch that. Yeah. But instead, we have. I mean, the cast is really interested in this, isn't it? Because you've got
Mm.
Sandy Radcliffe, who is a fascinating figure because she was a model in the early 70s, tipped by, I want to say David Bailey, but I don't think it was David Bailey. I think it was one of those snappers, one of those
Okay.
fashion snappers, who said that she was going to be the face of the 1970s.
Yes,
Didn't
it was David Bailey.
Was it
Yes, it
David
was
Bailey?
David Bailey.
Ah,
Yeah.
didn't quite go to plan because she moved into acting instead.
Mm.
She got a big break with Family Life with Ken Loach,
Yeah.
and then moved into a lot of TV plays and one-off dramas and such like. Very good guest roles in stuff like Shoestring. Very good performer, very believable, which led to her getting EastEnders. She was
Yes.
one of the original cast of EastEnders, and then it all sort of went wrong for her, really.
Yeah. Now, what was that, do you think? Do you think it was just an example of how nowadays you would call it parasocial, wouldn't you? When soaps were at their peak, when they were pulling in like 15 to 20 million, people became very obsessive about the characters that people were playing and refused to let people move on. Do you think maybe that was it?
I think so. I think there's an element of that, and I think there's a huge element of how scummy the tabloids were at the time,
Ah, right. Yes.
because she got it's too much attention, too much fame, which led to it led to addiction. She was a heroin addict. For a co-star David Scarborough, who was the original Mark Fowler, it led to suicide.
Oh, was he the guy? Yeah. This is all slightly sort of before my time, although I do remember like my parents talking about this, and they held a real understandable grudge against the Red Tops for that.
Yeah, I mean, with him, he was 19, I think, and he
Yeah.
was about 2021 when he died. The News of the World, I think it was, found which mental hospital he checked into, and sort of pounded him there.
Yeah.
And I think within a day or two, he'd thrown himself off Beachy Head.
Yeah.
Which is terrible.
It is horrifying. Yeah. I wasn't. I'm glad you sort of filled that in because I wasn't really familiar with Radcliffe. I'm checking her CV now. I think the only thing that I'd seen her in is Chris Petit's Radio On, and I
Yes,
saw,
she's in Radio On. Yes, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and I
I
saw that
mean,
many years ago. And like most people who watch Radio On once, I cannot decide whether it's good or not.
well, I've watched it 3 times now, and the first time I
Okay.
watched it was the very first time it ever got shown on television, and that was it's a 1979 film, isn't it?
Yeah. So
Radio
it
On.
would be early 80s, do you think?
No, you would
Oh.
not be surprised to learn. Well, you will be surprised to learn that it got its premiere in 2013.
I mean, that, listeners, if you haven't seen Radio On, I think that kind of tells you everything you need to know about it.
Got its television premiere, and I remember watching it. It was a Saturday night on BBC Two in 2013. And of course, the great thing about Letterboxd and me being on it since
Yeah.
2011 was that I have receipts. You know, 2013. I then watched it again in 2018. I watched it in 2013. I gave it 2 stars.
Yeah.
I watched it in 2018. I gave it 3.5 stars, and I really, really enjoyed it. I
Mm.
watched it in 2021 when the BFI released it, and it's
Oh,
over
yeah.
here
Yeah.
somewhere over there.
Yeah.
Gave it 4 stars. So I've had an interesting relationship
Interesting.
with Radio On.
Yeah. That sort of weirded me out because it's made me realise that I probably saw it on its TV premiere
Probably,
as
yeah,
well, and I
you
had
absolutely did. You
no
may have
idea.
been completely unaware of the fact that it was its premiere, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
the fact that I remember flicking through the because I used to get the Radio Times back then. Not now. It's £5. Fuck that. And seeing like a film from 1979, which
Yeah.
should be right up my street, but then reading the fact that it's never been shown before, I thought, right, I'm getting on that definitely, and
Yeah.
then being really disappointed that I didn't really click
Instantly
with me on
love
the
it.
first watch. Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah.
she had a
Yeah.
really interesting. She started out with a really interesting career. I mean, Radio On, Family Life. She's in the final program. Then she's
I
in a lot
must
of
watch that.
you'd love the final program. You really do
Yeah.
need to watch that. You'd love that. Then she's in a lot of weird sort of Jackie Collins stuff like Hussey and Yesterday's Hero, which stars Ian McShane as a footballer. And
Right.
Ian McShane as a successful soccer player, Rod Turner, spirals into drunken self-pity until he develops a friendship with an inspirational orphan and a beautiful singer. Learning from them what truly matters in life, Rod regroups and returns to form. It, it
I
also
absolutely believe the drunken self-pity part, but the rest of it is stretching it.
yeah. It's got Adam Faith in it, friend of
It
previously mentioned on
qualifies.
this podcast, and
Yes.
Paul Nicholas. If memory serves, Paul Nicholas plays like a pop star football manager like Elton John.
All right.
Yeah,
Right.
but it is trash. It is utter trash. This film, but it was written. I think it was written by Jackie Collins.
It was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's some Jackie Collins existential question time that we've had there, I think. But yes.
So yeah,
Yeah.
she did have an interesting career
Yeah.
to start with, and a lot of interesting TV plays and appearances on TV shows and what have you. But EastEnders, it's the fickle finger of fame, really, isn't it? It does sort of it did a number on her. She let me see where I've got it written down here somewhere. Providing a false alibi to her partner at the time, who was a murderer.
Yeah. That's
Good.
bad move.
Ill health. I think she trained as a counsellor and a paramedic, but then ended up on benefits. Passed away in 2019.
What do you think it is about British soaps though that makes them such a bad incubator for long-term careers? Because like Australian soaps are incredibly cheesy and campy, but every serious Australian actor, every major Australian movie star has passed through Summer Bay or Ramsay Street at some point.
That's true. Yeah. I think it's. I wonder if it's the level of production line mentality that our soaps have.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's all content, 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 and I mean, I hate him, but I was reading something from Danny Dyer at the moment. It's some
Mm.
interview where he slagged off EastEnders, apparently.
Oh yeah.
Um, but he was saying that he couldn't get time off for a family funeral because he just had to
Wow.
be in filming stuff. And I suppose when you're making what is it, 3 episodes a week, 4 episodes a week, something like
It
that.
is for some of them. Yeah, yeah,
To me, it seems like it's on every fucking day, really. But yeah, when you're making
yeah.
that sort of output, it's it's. I mean, it's not going down the pit. Don't get me wrong, it's not
No.
that. But there's not much coming up for her in these, and especially when you're doing such really heavy. You know, I mean, whenever I switch EastEnders on, it's just people shouting at each other, and
Yes.
I don't see the appeal of that. You know, but I
Yeah.
mean, got they're constantly playing angry or aggressive or depressed, aren't they? And you
Yeah.
must take it home with you.
Yeah, I remember Dee Williams said once that she had made so many horror films that after a certain point in her life, her thyroid just went funny. You know, she's constantly having to mimic fight or flight. And eventually, yeah, it causes a physical response.
There's a bit where, yeah, and there must be a bit where you don't know where you begin and the character, you know, where the character begins and you end as well. So I
Well,
mean,
yeah, it's certainly true for the audiences of these things, 'cause you always
well,
get stories of like people who play the baddies in soaps get abuse on the streets.
that's it, isn't it? I mean, I think social media has a lot to answer for, but I think what helps is people can now see the difference, I think, a little bit more. Not always. There will obviously be some very special people who don't.
Yeah,
But when you think
yeah,
of the
yeah.
80s when Sandy Ratcliffe was in EastEnders, um, there was no such thing as social media. And
Mm,
you only knew them as that character on television. You had no insight into their lives at the time. You know, they weren't. I mean, yes, they probably appeared on chat shows and stuff like that, but there wasn't. You
mm.
weren't afforded that idea of just firing up your phone and going on Instagram and seeing them advertising a tin of paint that they claim they've just painted their nursery in. You know, sponsored by. You know, there's none of that sort of a chance to see a real life, is there? It's just what you see on
Yeah,
television. And if that person is playing a love rat, or you know, they're having an affair, or it, people will just see that person in the street and think, "No, you upset me last night, or you annoyed me last night."
100%. Yeah, I think we've successfully found one area of life which social media has made less parasocial.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I think so. I think it does help. Yeah,
Yeah,
but still, there are still some very fucked up people in soaps. I think, or it seems to be. You know,
yeah,
I mean, we
yeah.
lost was it Paul Dannon this year from Hollyoaks.
Oh God, yeah, yeah,
There's still a lot of tragedies out there.
yeah.
The the actress who plays the daughter in this is another soap
Karen.
star, isn't it? Amanda Mealin, who ended up in Holby City and Casualty.
And she still acts, doesn't she? If
She
memory
does, but
serves.
she's had a bit of a bad time of it as well recently.
Ah,
She knocks. I think I'm right in saying she knocked somebody over, or she crashed a car. I can't remember which, or both perhaps. And it turns out she was under the influence of cocaine.
shit, God.
Yeah.
What a fucking bleak episode you
This
brought
is really
me
bleak, isn't it?
today.
And when we talk about when we're going to talk about the actual story itself, it gets quite bleak too, doesn't it?
It's quite bleak, but it's literally a seaside holiday compared with this.
It's true. It's true.
Because one of the other things that brought this to my attention was it last year when the bike riders came out, and I had
That's
that
right,
sort
yeah.
of
You had that list, yeah.
naive feeling of, yeah, I thought, oh wow, yeah, bike rider movie, but biker gang movies, yeah, they used to be a big thing. Maybe I'll make a letterboxd list. Too late did I learn that every single movie released between the years 1972 and 1991 features a biker gang.
Yeah. Well, what a list!
It's a good list. It's got Predator the Quietus by Cliff Twemlow, which, as I joked at the
I
time,
recommended it, didn't I?
yeah, sounds like a movie where a killer alien hunter starts a Ponzi music website. But
Cliff Twemlow was basically Garth Marenghi before his time, wasn't he?
there are so many people who get that tag attached to them. There are so many people who say, oh, James Herbert's so like Garth Marenghi. It's like, no, if you want the ultimate in Garth Marenghi-ness, Cliff Twemlow is more Garth Marenghi than Matthew Holness at this point.
A man who wrote The Pike about a killer pike in the Lake District.
And tried to get Joan Collins to star in the movie version. Incredible.
And then his later works were all about, I can't remember the names of some of the films now, but he was constantly on about seeking out and eradicating the paedophile.
Yeah, members of the paedophile, which is one of the oddest phrases I've heard in my life.
It's like, this is a man who does not understand, like, plural and singular. I will seek down the paedophile. What? but it's a very Garth Marenghi line, isn't it?
Maybe he thinks it's like a nightclub. Maybe he thinks that if you just get to the VIP pass to London's exclusive Le Pedophile, he can just get them all in one fell swoop.
Well, it'd be good if he could, though, wouldn't it? There'd be a lot of MPs in there.
It'd be an interesting clientele list. Yeah.
The House of Commons would be empty the following day.
But yeah, odd stuff. So this has a biker gang in, and it also has, I think, the most successful part of it for me is this character that Derek Smith plays, who is listed as AH Man on the Beach, which is, he is as enigmatic as that character name makes him sound.
And it's a brilliant multi-dimensional performance, isn't it? From a man who is not a household name. I mean, he's got quite a, he had a busy enough
list
career.
Of credits. Yeah,
got a good list of credits. Had a busy enough career, but I mean, this is proper acting, isn't it? This is proper.
It really is.
Really understanding the character, because it's not many actors can do this, in that the sense that he's an innately nice person. You get the idea that he is a nice man, but the character has to show facets of himself that are troubling.
Yeah.
And as an audience at that point in time, we don't know why those facets are troubling. We just know that he will suddenly spin on like a top bunny, just spin onto something else. And you're like, why has he said that? Why is he now getting a bit angry and frustrated with the little girl? And you do think, is she? You worry for her, because you think,
of course,
is she in trouble? Is it a paedophile?
Is he a member of the paedophile? Yes.
Of course, we subsequently come to learn that it's not that. He is suicidal. But to play those highs of like, uncomfortable, making you fear for the young child. And of course, the other reason why it works well is you pair that character with a young child,
Yeah.
so that helps because you feel the vulnerability in that child, don't you? But to play that high and still have a seam of purity and niceness, that that this man was a nice man,
Yeah.
that he's just very, very troubled. It's a brilliant performance. I'm not really selling it as well as it deserves. Really, it's a
No,
brilliant.
it's something that I think lifts the whole film because for all it's well shot and well acted, and it gives a good account of Dolenz as a director. I think the whole thing would feel very, very inconsequential without this. And I think one of the things that makes it impressive as an acting feat is that, most actors always like asking to play a well-rounded character, a multi-dimensional character. And AH, by his very nature, isn't where you're catching someone at the absolute terminal moment of their life when they've already been through so much. And part of his mystery is because he has a whole backstory that we'll just never get to learn. That's the
Exactly.
cruelty of it. He
Yeah,
just dies. Yeah.
yeah. That's really true, and I like the sort of Greek chorus of the old couple, and the old
Mm.
woman in particular has like a sixth sense, doesn't she? And she sort of says, as she's walking away, she says she could smell death or something.
Something like that,
It's a
yeah,
weird
yeah.
line, isn't it? And her husband's like, "Oh, don't be silly," sort of thing. Obviously he hears this kind of thing from her all the time.
It is. I was going to say it's an odd moment, but it doesn't come across as being too sort of posy or symbolic because it is the sort of thing that mad nans in Britain
Yeah,
say constantly.
yeah, and that is your first in. That is like it's an interesting little building block in the story, isn't it? To sort of get your suspicion going. It's like why has she just said that? Because she's just an English eccentric, or is the plot suddenly just going to go in a
Yeah.
different direction all of a sudden? But it doesn't feel tonally off.
Mm.
It doesn't feel like she's signposting the plot because again, it feels like an authentic, interesting character that we've just seen a glimpse of in the same way that AH is just a character we see a glimpse of who is,
Yeah.
you know, is going to be a pivotal moment in the play, really.
Yeah, definitely. AH is so odd that I found myself wondering, and this is the sort of thing you wonder when you've seen slightly too many of the sort of weirder end of the BBC TV plays, where when your tastes run a bit towards like brimstone and treacle and unfair exchanges and pender's fen. You do find yourself thinking, is this guy going to turn out to be God or the devil or something? He feels like that kind of character, the
Well,
capricious, distant kind of.
yeah, and also he comes out. His whole sort of conversation starter with Karen is talking about her coming out of the water, evolution. So I
Yeah.
mean, it does make you think: is there something a bit, is there something a bit like a grander design going on here?
Yes. Yeah. But in the end, and I appreciated this detail because I was one of those kids who used to have loads of like spotter's guides to the British seaside on my person. In the end, he's just a man who really, really cares for the blue raid limpet,
That's true. That's true. Yeah,
as we all should.
as we all should. Yeah, that is
Yeah.
true. And also, I want to say as well, when I heard of this and sorted out. And it
Mm.
is available on my YouTube, people. So you can
Oh,
always
yes,
find
of
that.
course.
We'll
Yeah.
probably talk about that more later on, or I'll put a link up or something.
Mm.
Um, when I deliberately went to look for this piece, I thought it would be more about Hell's Angels, Sandy
Yeah.
Radcliffe, dragging a kid off to try and find a husband. It's the least interesting bit of the storyline, that isn't it?
It really is, yeah, and it's built up so much. The opening of the film is like this sort of you almost want to play Ride of the Valkyries over it. It's a big epic shot of motorbikes coming over the crest of the hill.
Great sort of. It's like it's almost like shot in like the golden hour almost as well. It's a lovely sort of amber haze to the screen as the bikes are coming over, isn't there? But it's. I mean, it absolutely has to be there because the whole point of this thing is it's like a woman without a husband and a child without a father, and they're both looking for a substitute in a way, aren't they? She wants to find a husband amongst the Hells Angels or anybody else who might be willing, whilst she's looking for a father, and she almost finds it in AH. But yeah, the way you read the actual summary of it, you think it's specifically going to be about Sandy Radcliffe's character, and it's not, and it's the least interesting part of. Not that she's not brilliant in it, but it's the least interesting part of the piece, really.
Well, I suppose the thing is with it, for all they try and tie it back into the storyline with Karen, for all they sort of have AH talk about how, these people are Philistines who don't know what a blue-railed limpet is.
They've ultimately... Yeah.
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 I'm really.
Why did I write a list about Hell's Angels when I could have wrote a list about Blue Red Limpets?
But yeah, it doesn't quite resolve back into it, and I think that's one of the things which your hypothetical American set feature film version of this starring Cher would be able to do that a lot better.
They would absolutely have to beef that storyline up considerably, and I imagine if you were stretching this into 90 minutes, 100 minutes for Hollywood, it would be the story. And the AH Karen scene would be the sort of end of the second act, really, wouldn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
And then it would be going off with George Sweeney's Hell's Angel, I suppose.
Yes.
as the new dad, I guess.
George Sweeney's Hell's Angel, who has the slightly odd character name of Tafflin, doesn't exactly scream Hell's Angels at me.
Does it? But he was quite well known for playing that type of character because he played Speed in Citizen Smith, who was also a Hell's Angel, with his big flying jacket and Nazi helmet.
Yeah. I'm looking through his screen credits here, and it's a mad list. He also was in a Jackie Collins thing. He was in The Bitch.
Of course.
Wait, was that Joan Collins actually?
I think that was Joan Collins, but I think Jackie Collins wrote it.
Oh, really? Was it yeah, you're right. It was.
I think the joke was she's wrote a book and a film called The Bitch, and she's asked her sister to play the bitch. It's like, I've got a part that's perfect for you, sis. What's that? You play a bitch.
What's the film called? Well,
anybody's going to play some sort of high-class prostitute here, it's going to be you, sis. That's what I think of when I think of you. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, weird list of stuff. There's that. There's the David Rudkin version of Gawain and the Green Knight. For Your Eyes Only. Guy Ritchie's Revolver.
Oh dear.
Yeah,
really. I know him from a lot. I mean, I'm going to look myself now. Yeah, Lion of the Desert. He's also in. Is it listed here? That weird. I can't see it. Actually, that's interesting. I can't see the film. Oh no, it is there. Yeah, Clash of Loyalties, which was a Middle Eastern film that Saddam Hussein bankrolled.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it's about British colonialism in Iraq in the 30s, I think, or the 20s. I can't remember now. But yeah, He's one of the British actors in that, alongside James Bolam and Oliver Reed.
Wow. I mean, out of all of the actors who you think would get along fine in the Middle East, Oliver Reed is pretty low down the list, right?
Just a bit. That must have been a terrible time filming for Ollie, wasn't it? But Sweeney was your standard hard man, squaddy biker,
Yeah.
and I suppose that translates into also, like, third villager on the left in a horror movie or something as well.
It does.
We don't
There,
get
there, there
strange
aren't that, there aren't really that many of those. I think if I had to associate him with like one British B movie genre, he seems to end up in a lot of like Cockney gangster movies, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. I think that was his sort of niche. His friend in it, the other Hell's Angel, is an interesting one. Hilary Minster, who's probably best known for playing one of the Germans in Hello Hello. He's
Ah.
obviously why he was well cast as a German. He's a very Aryan looking performer, isn't he? He's got very, very blonde hair. I think he was
Mm.
also in. Was he also in Planet of the Daleks?
Yeah, he was. I'm just looking this up, and he had a smaller role in Genesis of the Daleks, but he seemed to be like a
Ah,
Thal specialist. You know, I guess
right.
because the Thals do have that same kind of Aryan look that kind of
Yeah,
muddies the intended Nazi metaphor of those stories a bit.
yeah. Oh, he did do a couple of war films. He did Bridge Too Far and Battle of Britain.
Battle of
So
Britain, yeah,
yeah, he was clearly typecast as Nazis. But again, that plays into the Hell's Angels theme, doesn't it? Because
completely.
there's that flirtation with Nazi regalia, memorabilia, and stuff. It does
Yeah,
look authentic in that group, really.
yeah, definitely. It's one of the like when I was having that period of brief obsession with the biker gang genre, it's one of those sort of oddities of those movies that the makers of them could never quite decide how sympathetic they want these guys to
Mm.
be. Like,
Yeah,
they're rebels, they're young, they take drugs and have sex and live how they want, and that's often enough to be the hero of a youth exploitation movie, but they're also like seriously violent and they've got loads of iron crosses all over them, and there's always a bit of unease. It works best in something like Psychomania, where the whole film is so bananas that it doesn't
absolutely.
matter whether you like them or not.
Yeah, I think that was still a problem in the Bike Riders. I thought. I still
A
think there's an
bit.
issue, like they didn't know whether to say these are great people or actually. And I think then there was the fudge of, like, yes, they were great people, but then they let the wrong element in,
Yeah, yeah,
rather than just saying, no, you can be bastards.
yeah, yeah.
You can be complex. You can be, you know. And I
I
think the
still think
hook for that film was Tom Hardy, wasn't it? In the sense that he just wanted to be Marlon Brando.
that's
And
the thing. Yeah, I always think the great moment of that movie is when you realise that he is just a suburban dad who watched The Wild One on television one time. Yeah,
and then based his whole life around it. Like a bloke
yeah,
who used to live around here, actually, looked the spit of Charles Bronson.
yeah.
Yeah, and you just think you must go home watching Death Wish and all the Bronson films. It was. I just remember him vividly in like the 80s and 90s. He had the proper Bronson
Yeah.
moustache and the short cropped hair, sort of salt and pepper hair and that. And I just thought, that's a Bronson fan. You can just tell, can't you?
I mean, some people, there's that Hungarian guy who's made a living out of looking
This is
like
it. He would
Charles
have been the
Bronson.
guy I knew would have been better, to be honest. He could have acted better as well. Oh dear.
Yes. So I think it's probably about time that we reveal the master plan for this, because you were not just listening to a pop screen episode about Story Without a Hero, listeners.
No.
You are listening to the first part of a pop screen event where tomorrow on our Patreon, we will release a follow-up episode about another music-linked film from Premiere called A Hymn from Jim, written by and briefly featuring Richard O'Brien. And the only way you can get access to our thoughts on that is to go to www.patreon.com/The Geek Show. Mark, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Letterboxd. You can find me on The Geek Show. We Are Cult, Z Network. I think that's about it. I think. I can never remember.
It's a good list.
I'm everywhere.
You can find me on Letterboxd by searching for Graham Williamson, and I'm on Instagram at GrahamWFilm. But as I say, if you're subscribed to our Patreon, you'll get more tomorrow. If not, we will be back in 2 weeks' time. But until then, I've been Graham.
And I've been Mark.
And we'll see you in 2 weeks' time.